Hi, I'm Ginny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. I'm here with Vicki Semanie to talk about her article in the March-April issue of On Purpose Woman magazine. And Vicki, before we have that conversation, what do you want our viewers to know about you? And I want to make sure I pronounced your name right because as soon as I said it, I wasn't sure.
Yes, it's actually Vicki Semanie.
Samani, thank you. I
Yes,
usually
yes.
check that with everybody ahead
That's
of
okay.
time.
Don't worry about it. And Ginny, thank you for having me today. So, for the folks that are watching or might be watching it taped later, my name is Vicki Semanie. I'm the founder of Seven Stones, and I'm a life and business coach. And I'm in the third year of my company, so still fairly new. And prior to that, I was a finance and operations executive in healthcare and higher ed.
Wow, okay. And you and I met, I guess now it was 2023, wasn't it?
I think so.
I
Yeah,
think so, at the Executive Alliance, I
that's
believe. I
correct.
was on a
Yep.
panel there, and you were just in your your early months, I think, of your business. So it's nice to see that you're still doing it and you're still,
Yes.
out there trying to make it happen because what you do is so important.
Well,
It's so
thank you.
important. And so as happens, with some of the articles in On Purpose Woman magazine, I read a blog post from someone and reach out and ask if I can use it in the magazine. And that's what happened with you. And I think this is the second article that we've published of yours because your blog posts are just very to the point. It always has a like a tidbit of something that we can change right away, a way we can look at things differently. So
Hmm.
and as I was preparing for this, I realized that this article and what you write about is not just for women with careers, because
That's right.
that's your target market, I guess, but you also are a life coach, so you're doing some other work with other women. But I took some of those things you talked about and applied them to entrepreneurship, about raising our hand. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Your article is called Raise Your Hand. And so it was interesting to me to make that sort of comparison between, okay, this was written from a corporate standpoint for women in the corporate world, but how true is this for women who are in their own business as well? And so you started out by saying that I was recently at a networking event and the group was sharing quotes that impacted their careers. One that struck me was always say yes and then say how. What was it about that quote that stood out for you and kind of stuck with you?
I think first I want to say that it was a man that had that quote, and I think that's interesting. And
Okay.
what stuck with me was, as I think back over my career, and even as an entrepreneur in my new company, Seven Stones, I I was always held back a little bit about raising my hand and saying yes to something unless I knew I could do it. And what this gentleman was saying is, no, always say yes, and you will figure out how. And that led me to think about confidence. So you have to have confidence in yourself and your abilities in order to raise your hand, knowing that you can figure out the how after.
That is so true, Vicki. And we haven't really talked about our backgrounds. My background is in corporate finance and banking. And I left my career in 1991. So I've been out of it for a very long time. But during the time the 20 years I was in that industry, and it wasn't just that industry, it was any industry where there were women, vying for certain levels of
Right.
position and so forth, that I think as women, we knew that we better know how to do it because we wouldn't be cut any slack. It was kind of
Yeah.
this pressure on that. And here, this man is saying, just say yes and do it because that's what men could typically do. And I think they had the confidence to do that. Not only did we not necessarily have the confidence, but I don't think we felt like we could trust that we wouldn't like lose something if we didn't do it well or if we didn't get the support that we needed. Was that your experience at all?
Uh, I think so. I think um, there's a research that indicates, for example, that men will apply for a job if they only have, let's say, 60% of the skills on the resume, and a
Yeah.
woman will only apply if she's got 95%. So it's kind of the same concept.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully that's shifting and changing some, but it takes women like you speaking up and giving other women the opportunity to go, oh, okay, yeah, I think I've done that. I think I've missed some opportunities
Hmm.
because always other people holding us back. It's
Oh,
ourselves holding us back, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you talk about some ways that we can develop that confidence. And one of the things that you say is we should keep our resume updated. But you don't mean go in every week and like keep adding the stuff to it. What do you think we should do with our resume?
Well, I used resume very loosely here. What I
Yeah.
really meant was create an inventory of your skills and your knowledge and keep adding to it. So
Hmm.
whether it's you got a new skill in Excel, or you read a book that had a lot of leadership guidance, you got your MBA, you took an online class, keep a list of these things and periodically go back and look and see how you have evolved, how you've
Hmm.
grown, that you're not the person you were a year ago. And that is a confidence builder because you'll be
Yeah.
saying, wow, look at everything that I got done.
And it's also a lot easier to remember those things when you need to tell other people that you've got the skills than try to go back and go, well, what was that thing that I did? And I think that was
Exactly.
always my thing. I would update my resume when I had a job interview,
That's right.
which
That's
meant
right.
I didn't write any of those things down ahead of time. And you also talk about use your resources. And I think you said that's just one of the places that we tend to forget, right? That we tend to not remember that we've got people out there that we can go to for help.
That's right. That's right. So, um, if you've been working in your career or you own a business and you've been working in your business, you have a network of people that are there for you. And rarely does someone expect you to give you a project and then just set you free and, go do it. There's always an expectation that you're going to need some input and some advice. Um, the way I like to look at it is who can help you, whether those are stakeholders, people that are interested in what you're doing,
Mhm.
or people that you know through your work, people that you look up to, that you want to emulate. Set up meetings with them, make them brief, and go in with your list of questions. So you're using their time wisely and appropriately. And ask advice, whether it's the project itself, um, your leadership or your capabilities, use those resources so that you can bring that back and incorporate that in your project.
That's such a great point because it is easy to think we have to do this all on our own. And there are people in all of our lives that are willing to help us, but we often
Yes,
forget to ask, or we think we should. I think that's another thing that women especially do to ourselves. Well, I should know that. I should know how to do that. If you haven't done it, you shouldn't know how to do it, right?
that's right.
So lighten up on yourself and look out there to see who is willing to help you. And then I like to always add this, then always be looking to see who you can help. Always be looking at the person who
Yes,
may be a step or two behind you in their skills to see who you can help and to pass that on.
I agree. It's kind of paying it forward.
It
Someone
is, it
helped you,
is.
you should help someone else. Definitely.
And then you say that once we keep, we've got a list of our skills, so we kind of know what we know, and now we know what we don't know. So then we can go and ask for some help with the things that we don't know. And then you just kind of say, jump in and get working on it, right? Don't put
That's
it off.
right.
Don't wait till everything's perfect and perfectly
Right.
aligned,
Because it won't
right?
be perfect.
Right.
And this is where I say, think about what you would do if something happened. So a little bit of contingency planning, because
Mm-hmm.
no matter what you're working on, it's not going to go 100% like you thought it would. So when you're developing the plan for your project, you're working on it, keep a list of everything that might go wrong and what are the options that you would have if, in fact, something did go wrong. And so, what tactics could you use? What resources, additional resources could you use? That's really what I mean by get working on it and then think through how you would deal with any issues you come up with.
I really like that because I don't think I ever did that when I was going through in my corporate career. I do it more now with my business where well, if if this doesn't work, what are my options over here? And that way, when something does come up, we're not in a frantic kind of space figuring out, oh no, how do I save all of this, right? Because you
Right.
already looked at some of our options. But I never thought of it that way in my corporate career. I think I just worked myself to the bone and made sure and stayed,
Yeah.
till midnight and just did everything possible to pull things off. Because, as a lot of women back in the day, and probably women still now, I know I suffered from some imposter syndrome as well. Oh, one day they're going to figure out I don't know anything. I don't have any idea what I'm
Mhm.
doing, which was so not true. But yet
Right.
I always felt like I had to overperform a bit because otherwise they're gonna be on to me, I'm gonna be out of here. And so these tips are so great for that purpose because that's where procrastination will come in because we're fearful that we don't know everything.
That's correct.
And I'm sure the clients that you work with, procrastination can be a big deal for them.
For some of them, yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
Okay, so what else do you want to say about the article? Those are the three things that I think really, really spoke to me. And again, it's a very short read, so you packed a lot of great information. So, it could be that I've asked you everything that's possible to be asked, but I do want to ask you one more thing about the article before we end here today. But if there's anything you want to add right now,
Yeah. I'd like to talk about risk a little bit.
okay, good.
Many of us are risk averse, and that goes into the wanting to be able to do 100% of the tasks on a resume before you apply. But the only way you grow, whether this is personally or professionally or in your business, is by taking some level of risk.
Yeah.
Because you have to be willing to do something new to improve yourself, improve your business. So you got to get comfortable with the risk. And I'm not talking about, mortgaging your house, that kind of risk. I'm talking about a little bit of risk here and there and kind of building
Mhm.
that muscle of risk taking. And that will also help you to raise your hand sooner than you might have.
That's a great point. I think some of the risks that I know I was really leery to take were risks that I would fail at something. But then if we never take that risk and fail at anything, we don't know what to do when we fail. People used to say that more people feared success than failure because we knew how to fail, but I don't know that that's necessarily true. We know how to fail, but
Well,
not fail and get back up, maybe.
yeah, I think you just have to know no matter what you're going to fail. So
Yeah.
doing some point in time, you're going to fail, and it's what you do when that happens, right?
Yep.
So, do you declare that you failed? Do you tell the people that need to know that things haven't gone as you thought they would? Do you have the plan? Again, going back to that risk mitigation, do you have a plan when something goes wrong? Um, and that by failing, you learn. I have a phrase that I use, failure leads to success. And we see this all the time.
Mhm.
And, uh, we as parents, we know our children are going to fail, and that's part of them learning and letting them fail. As employers, our employees are going to make mistakes, they're going to fail, and making sure that they're comfortable knowing that's going to happen and that they need to come and tell you when that happens. Um, so it's just part of life,
Mhm.
and you need to get comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'll get comfortable with it because it is inevitable. And the more prepared we are for it, obviously the better we will handle it.
Right.
Won't take it as a personal failure,
That's
just
correct.
as a failure of just, something caused the failure. So now what? What can we learn
Exactly.
from this? I love
Yep.
this example I heard years ago about, when babies are learning to walk. What if the baby stood up, fell down, and says, "Well, guess I'm not a walker. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
crawl for the rest of my life." But that's how it feels sometimes. Well, that's not for me, obviously, because I didn't get it. I didn't knock it out of the park the first time out. So,
Yep.
well, Vicki, how can our viewers find out more about you?
So my website is sevenstoneslifecoaching.com. My email is Vickie@sevenstoneslifecoaching.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn and Facebook. Um, and as I said before, I am a life coach, but I also do business coaching and I do some business consulting. So, and these types of things like raising your hand translate into that arena also.
Right, right. Your website will also be in the text of this video once I get off here and edit it. And I want to just ask everybody to read Vicky's article. It's in the March, April issue. The link to that is also in the text of this video. And you can go back to the January, February issue. And I did look up what your article was. Do you remember what that one was called by any chance?
This is actually my first article. It's the next magazine that I'm going to do another one.
Wow, no wonder we didn't do it last time. I remember we haven't done this before. Yeah, I guess because it's been a couple of months since I asked you
Yeah,
probably for that
yeah,
article in
that's
January,
right. It
February.
has been.
Well, good. Well, congratulations on having your first article in On
Well,
Purpose
thank
Woman
you.
magazine. And I want to, as we wrap up, I'd love to have a final thought from you. Like if you could take all this information, just put it into one final thought for a woman watching this, what would you say to her?
You are never going to feel 100% confident when you raise your hand, but don't let that hold you back.
Perfect, perfect. Put that on a pillow, right?
There you go.
Vicki, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, not just in the magazine, but here with our viewers today. I really appreciate you and the work that you're doing. So thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jenny.
I want to thank anyone who's watching this either on my Facebook page today or on our YouTube channel. If you want to find out more about the On Purpose Woman Global Community and magazine, go to my website, which is in the text of this video. And also for more interviews with amazing women living their lives on purpose and making their unique difference on the planet, read On Purpose Woman magazine and visit our website. Thank you.